Alright, hey there. Hi there. Oh there. Okay, hi, how are you? Hope you're doing good. So today, we're gonna talk about Danny Phantom, because that's what was winning in the poll when I last checked. Yeah. Alright, so, Danny Phantom. For these, I was gonna try and do some really old art, but I couldn't find one that was, like, interesting enough. I went with some screen cap redraws that honestly I'm really fond of, and redrawing them, I'm really happy with how they turned out, so, you know, it's fine. This is fine. So, Danny Phantom. It was my first real fandom. With a PH, am I right? Yeah, whatever. So, Danny Phantom, I remember watching it when it first premiered, and was like kinda into it, but then for whatever reason, 7th grade, which was when like season, I wanna say 2 was just finishing up, I was obsessed. It was the only thing I talked about. It was weird, because like there was I was micro obsessing before, but this was like the thing that I obsessed over. When it comes to like comparing the two, with Hetalia and Danny Phantom, yes, I said that like Hetalia was my first like online fandom. I kind of forgot about how much Danny Phantom was like a thing where I went online for forums, because that was a thing that I did back in the day. It was before like I don't even know if I never joined LiveJournal. So my migration from online forums to Tumblr was like just skip LiveJournal. Okay. Anyway, my home away from home for a while, like for most of 7th grade, was a website called Danny Phantom Online, and it wasn't the Danny Phantom Online forums. There was a bit of a difference. I remember that the forums, like the DPOF, were connected to Butch Hartman. The one that I was on was just mostly just a fan site, and I cannot find a picture of the original version that I remember. If I can, I'll post a picture right up in the corner, but I tried. I tried rejoining it a couple years later, and then I tried going back to it, and it's completely gone, so, you know. Also, if you knew, hey, Danny Tonfin 13, hello, it's me. I made like one friend, but I was definitely a cringy teenager who had no idea how to work on the internet. So I hope you don't remember who I was, because man, that person was mega cringe. Great googly moogly. So for me, Danny Phantom didn't introduce me to too many people. Like I remember one person on the DPO forums that I kind of chatted with on AIM. Their name was Barn Owl something or another. I just know that because for whatever reason, I really like owls. So that's a thing. I probably will do a Guardians of the Galaxy thing eventually. Oh man, I have fun things to talk about on that. Anyway, Danny Phantom was important for me for art. I always cite Danny Phantom as like a huge influence on my art style. It was at one point Butch Hartman that inspired me, but I'll get to that near the end of this. Danny Phantom was the first thing I learned how to draw from a commercial, because I remember on Nickelodeon they used to have commercials on how to draw these characters, one of which was Cosmo, then there was XJ9 or Jenny from My Life as a Teenage Robot, and lastly there is Danny from Danny Phantom. Not Danny Phantom, Danny Phantom. So that's a thing. I really, really liked it, and I would draw animal versions. I gotta find those old drawings, and I'm gonna post them up in the corner, because those are gold. Because I made pets for all the ghosts. Not all of them, just some of them, but they were really just me trying to draw Danny Phantom things and like put them in the same clothes. It was weird. I don't really know where I was going with those, but you know, they existed. Danny Phantom was also where I created my first Mary Sue. Yeah, as I'm saying that out loud, I'm like, yep, no, that person was a Mary Sue. Like, I described them to a person who had read, I had asked them to read something that I had wrote. I described her as the ideal me, or the person that I wish I was. And she was this edgy, like, basically my immortal Harry Potter fiction. Yeah, that's who she was. It's fine. This is fine. Also, Sam Manson is like life goals, but also as I grow up, she is wife goals. I really like Sam Manson. 1, she's a goth girl. 2, her favorite color is purple. I think I can't really explain any more than that. I'm pretty sure, like, when I was younger, if I knew that I wasn't straight, that Sam Manson was probably my first crush. Because she was. She's great, and I love her. Anyway, Danny Phantom was also the first place, or the first fandom, where I read fanfic. And I didn't read the lemony stuff. That wasn't me, because I didn't discover that until I decided to look into the Harry Potter stuff. That was a wild time. Don't want to think about those. But I did read a lot of Danny Phantom fanfic, and I'm pretty sure Danny Phantom's the reason why I really like crossover stuff. I specifically really like crossovers. And this is before fanfiction.net had crossover section. Like, it was all just under one thing. So I was like reading these things around 2006, 2007. And I read a lot. I don't remember a lot of them, but I remember that one of the things that I really focused on when they finally split it was the crossover stuff, because that's my thing. And I also really like angst. I've always really liked angst. There's certain fandoms where I will not read angst because it's already too sad. That's fine. But the one fic that like was super duper important to me and probably influenced a lot of how I like to write, because I like to write fic sometimes. A lot of it's really self-indulgent now. And that's probably never gonna get posted. It's fine. It's fine. My favorite writer, by far, was Phantom Soldier. He had the best Danny Phantom series of fics ever. They were so good, and like part of it is me thinking back nostalgically, but he had this series called Danny's of Darkness, and for the love of God, if anybody has his sequel, I saved the original. I printed it out because at the time I didn't have a phone and like 3D or anything, because that didn't exist for like a reasonable price. I had to rely on my computer if I wanted to read things. So I went on a long trip and I wanted to have something to read. So I downloaded and printed out The Crow Danny Phantom crossover. It's so good. It is so good. Looking back on it, I still really love that fic. Then he had a crossover second part where it was still The Crow Danny Phantom, but then he crossed it over with Teen Titans, and it was the original Teen Titans, and it was so good. And like Raven kind of becomes like his daughter in this weird way, like adopted daughter, and like I don't know, there was this like weird religious parallels, but that's fine. I don't really mind because it was so good. He also had it crossover with Hellboy, and I don't think he ever finished that one, but there was another one, and God, what was it called? Because it was also really good. I think it was Hellspawn? No. Maybe? Hellspawn? Might not have been Hellboy, it might have been Hellspawn. I think Hellspawn was one of them, and there was one other one, and he was going to make this big old crossover called Danny's of Darkness, because each of his Dannys had like different stories, and who they were completely different, and my favorite was definitely The Crow Danny Phantom, and it was the reason why I ended up watching The Crow, and I still love The Crow to this day. He deleted all of his fics. And he deleted them a very long time ago. And I am still really sad about that to this day. But that's fine. This is fine. It's okay, because, you know, if somebody remembers these fics, or if for whatever reason he just comes across this video, hi, Phantom Soldier, your fics were the reasons why I continue to read fics, and I hold fics to a very high standard. Alright. So, fanfiction is a thing, and if you guys ever want me to talk about fanfiction, there's a lot that I could talk about fanfiction. I have been reading fanfiction since at least 2009? Probably even earlier. I have written several fanfic. They were all Danny Phantom ones, except for 2. Actually 3. 4? I mean, okay, I have this whole world for Overwatch, and then Danny Phantom had like several crossovers, and I was gonna cross them all over, but now I don't like the series that I crossed them over with. Except for one, which was Phantasmo Echo. which is the Bleach crossover, and I'm still, like, I kind of hate it, but I love it at the same time, because I had a lot of good ideas. And also, I know Phantasmal Hueco is Spanish for Hollow Ghost. There was a reason for that, because the entire Hollow thing was in Spanish. We're not talking about Bleach right now, we're talking about Danny Phantom. Okay, let's get back to Danny Phantom. Okay. My last thing, because I feel like I should talk about it, is Butch Hartman. For a very long time, I really wanted to meet Butch Hartman, because there was a point where I looked up to him as, like, my favorite artist and all that jazz, like, popular artist. My favorite artist, by the way, right now, and, like, my all-time hero is Gerard Way, so, like, yeah. Butch Hartman, can't really can't compare. But I followed him on YouTube for a while, and I know all about his little Kickstarter, and that was a thing, and all the other stuff that came out about him. And it wasn't just all the stuff that people talked about, it was me connecting dots throughout, like, the previous 6 months or so of, like, his other videos and how he reacts to certain things and how he talks about certain things. And I think one of the things that really made me kind of have to walk away, and it almost ruined Danny Phantom for me, until I found out that Danny Phantom was only created by him, and the majority of everything that I love about Danny Phantom was really attributed to another guy, and I gotta look up his name, so give me a second. You can probably hear me typing. It's fine. This is fine. The guy who really was, like, the guy that I would say is the reason why Danny Phantom was so good is Steve Marmel. And, you know, that's fine. At least there's that. And it has an all-star cast, and yeah. But Butch Hartman had a thing for channel chasers. And he was like, oh, hey, everybody, do a channel chasers too. What would they look like and all that jazz? Draw Timmy, Cosmo, and Wanda in your favorite world in that style. And I was like, well, I can do a Danny Phantom style, because that is not that's not that far different, and I'm pretty sure everybody would do that. So I went with my current favorite show of all time, Steven Universe. So I made that, and I'm really proud of it. I think it's really cute. I can't remember what kind of gems I made those to be. They were probably some kind of quartzes. They would be very small ones. I don't know what they would be specifically, to be honest. But I was really proud of that. And I think I did a pretty good job, at least mostly getting the idea of Steven Universe and Fairly Odd Parents, like, in that style. Because Fairly Odd Parents is my main inspiration for art style nowadays. So he's going through them, and one of the things that, like, I don't know, as somebody who is an adult and who has this power and has this reach, it's important to be able to either try to read a person's name correctly, or at least, like, show an attempt to care. Because, I don't know, you don't know what the ages of some of these people were, and admittedly, there was a moment where I was just like, is my name really that stupid? So, he's a typical white guy, okay? Sorry. But my name isn't even, like, an Asian name. Admittedly, the way that my name on Twitter is Tchotchke DLC. And yes, at first, it's a word that kind of looks really weird, and you probably wouldn't recognize how to say it unless you knew what it was. That's understandable, but he has this thing where, like, he goes through a bunch of these kids' names, and I think a lot of the people who submitted stuff were kids. So he kept on saying, like, oh, you gotta change your name because, like, somebody should be able to read it right off the bat. And I'm like, I disagree, but keep going. Like, for some of them, it's just like, oh yeah, that's definitely, like, a kid's name. They'll figure out what they want to be called as they grow up. But, like, mine isn't that hard. It's Tchotchke DLC. It's not Russian. It's not, like, super foreign. It is, in fact, an English. It isn't not even English. It's technically a Yiddish word, and it just means a trinket. And that's kind of why I use Chachki, because it sounds like my first name, which is Chachi. So, Chachi Chachki. It's a cool, like, thingamajigger, and the DLC comes from my last name. Okay? Okay. And listening to him tell me that you gotta change your name because this isn't a name to be easily read. What if, like, a person name was actually Chachki? Or, like, there are other names in there, like, I don't know. It's one of those things where this is the basic level of preparation. Probably find the names and look them up. If they're really that hard, then apologize in advance and say, I am not good at pronouncing names, nor reading them. So if I mess up your name, I'm sorry. And I think that should be really a good way to approach it. You know, a person shouldn't have to change their name for somebody else to read it. That's all I'm saying. Because your name is important. It's important. Okay? Your name is super important. Doesn't matter who you are. Just say the name. Look it up. And if you can't read it, apologize. Don't say that the person who's at fault is the person. It's your fault for reading it wrong. But it might also be some other people's fault for not writing something down so that you can read it with your white note. Anyway, that's the reason why I don't like Butch Hartman. But I still appreciate Danny Phantom because the only thing that really Butch had a hand in was season 3, which we all agree wasn't great. To be fair, it was supposed to be 2 seasons instead of 1 season, but still, wasn't great. And he just created the characters. Steve Marmel was the one who writes, like, all of it. I would compare Butch Hartman to Moffat. Probably good for 1 episode and ideas. Don't give him a full series. Okay, so thank you for listening to my TED Talk. My next plan for these videos, I'm gonna leave out the 2 from last time and add a new one each time, because why not, right? So, options are Night Vale, RVB, or Undertale. Blah, blah, blah. No, for real. Anyway, thank you for listening. Follow my social medias. They will be listed at the end. Sorry, Future Chotch. I just thought of it now.